What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 311 of the Atlantic Files. This week, we are talking about the Knicks rolling through the playoffs right now. The Denver Nuggets are on the ropes against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We also have some other NBA playoff reactions, as well as some reactions to exit interviews for the teams that were eliminated, maybe some NBA draft talk and some NBA award talk as well. So without further ado, let's get into episode 311.
Welcome to the Atlantic Files, where humor and vibes collide. Nets and Sixers, the king of the court. Jokes that hit you one more. Atlantic Division, we own the scene. Comedy, food talk, every routine. Mike Bash, Clausen, Fischbein on the mic, making you laugh every episode right. Game is strong, court to kitchen. We're never wrong. You know what time it is. It's time for the Atlantic Files.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fischbein, and Mike Bash. What's going on,
What's
Mike?
going on? What's going on? How are you?
I'm pretty good. I mean, I get to watch basketball without being stressed at all, so that part's kind of nice.
I haven't been stressed for months now since the Nets were nowhere near the playoffs this year. So I'm just watching, hoping for some fun out of the Western Conference, because I think the East is pretty much a done deal from what we're seeing.
So, all right. I mean, we can jump right into this because you brought up the East here. So you're saying, we'll get into the Knicks in a second, but you're saying the Celtics are pretty far and away the East winner from what you're alluding to right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how the Knicks should beat the Pacers, but without Mitchell Robinson, this series can go any way. But there's no way they're going to get past Boston without Mitchell Robinson. Now you're down Mitchell Robinson, you're down Julius Randle. They're playing 7 guys in their rotation, and it's fine to have a short rotation and a short bench, but if you have a short bench and a short rotations, because you only trust 8 guys or 9 guys. And I get it, they're professional players. Like guy number 9, guy number 10, and 11 should be able to contribute. They're not going to be able to contribute in playoff basketball the way you need them to fill the void they're losing with Mitchell Robinson. So they're down to 7 guys. This is going to be they might be able to get through Indiana, but I think they're just going to be gassed by the time Boston comes waiting for them.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I do think, well, I'll save my Knicks takes for a second here, but just looking at Boston, I do think that this is it has to be their best chance, throughout the whole Tatum Brown era. Not only is this the best Celtics team that they put together, but it is also their best chance at a championship, because this has to be their easiest road to the NBA Finals that they've had in this entire time, because you play the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. You beat them 4-1. You probably really should have swept them. But now you're playing Cleveland, who just barely got through the Orlando Magic in the first round. They won in 7, and in that 7th game, it took them a good bit to actually get through that game, because Orlando was putting up a pretty big fight. And now you're taking on that Cavs team they're also hurting. They don't have Jared Allen. Karis LeVert has been pretty awful. They've also been playing Sam Merrill, who hasn't been great. Max Strus hasn't been great in this postseason. Really, it's been Donovan Mitchell and sometimes Evan Mobley, because even Darius Garland has looked pretty bad this postseason. So then you go on from that to facing the winner of Pacers-Knicks. The Pacers do not belong in a deep playoff run at all, and the Knicks are your biggest threat right now. And just to kind of base it off of something, according to BovadaSportsbook.com, the Celtics have the highest odds to win the entire thing. They have even odds, and the next highest is the Timberwolves at plus 250. And then the next 2 highest teams after that are both Western Conference teams, with the Thunder and the Mavericks. So
Yeah, it's the West. The West is going to be like I don't want to say a rock fight, but it's going to be a heavyweight fight to get out of the West because I think you have 3 or 4 championship caliber teams out there,
Right.
and yeah, like I said before, the East, it's like the Knicks and the Pacers are competing to just get destroyed by the Celtics. So, that being said, can the Celtics? Let's assume the Celtics make it out of the East. I think they're better. I think they're the best team in the NBA right now. I mean, the Timberwolves with the way Anthony Edwards is playing and the 2 big men it's hard to match up with that. And I could see them. I could see it. Like I said last episode, that Timberwolves and Nuggets series is going to produce your NBA champion. Because I just think that both those teams present matchup nightmares for everyone but each other. Like even each other, but everyone they play. You know, nobody's used to playing a guy like Jokic, where, you know, your centers were playing your point guard and he's uber efficient, uber talented, and then you got guys around him that fit perfectly. And then the old school lineup of the Timberwolves that play old school, you know, back to the basket with Gobert and Towns, 2 big men, you know, Tim Duncan, David Robinson-esque 1999. You know what I'm trying to say with the Spurs. So if the Celtics want to win, they better hope that Luka and Kyrie meet them in the finals. I think that's their only chance.
I mean, the thing that I like about the Timberwolves is you have like your one big star in Anthony Edwards. It's not really a super team, and they are doing it all really based on defense. And Rudy Gobert won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year just recently. Whether I was about to say whether people think that's deserved or not, I mean, that's here or there. Defensive Player of the Year this year, I kind of was just very like about. I do think Anthony Davis deserves a lot more respect in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. I think a lot of other guys deserve a lot more respect in that conversation as well, and they just never get it. But this Timberwolves defense, to me, especially in the last game, kind of proved why Rudy Gobert might not have deserved Defensive Player of the Year, because their defense looked amazing in the last game without him. And they have a lot of perimeter defenders on this team that are very, very solid, along with Anthony Edwards himself. So it like, I like that team a lot, but looking at it from a Celtics lens, when you said what you said about the Knicks and how, like, yeah, they can only trust like 7, maybe 8 guys if you put in Precious Achua now that Mitchell Robinson is hurt. The Celtics can really depend on 10 guys realistically. Like,
yeah, they just got too many dudes.
Yeah, their depth is insane. And you have guys like Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard and all those guys actually producing.
Breaking news: Nikola Jokic named NBA MVP.
Wow.
Let's go.
I don't know.
Guy. Is that 3? Is that 3?
I think SGA should have won.
Is that 3?
That is 3, yeah.
The Mike predictions continue to turn to gold.
I still think SGA should have won this year.
Nikola Jokic is the gift that keeps on giving.
First seed and the highest Oklahoma City's been ever since the KD Westbrook days, and SGA leading the league in scoring for a long time. Yeah, I think it should have been SGA, to be honest. My preseason prediction was SGA, and I still think it should be him. Anyway, I mean, still congrats to Jokic. He's still obviously a hell of a player, but
you seem pissed.
No. Oh, I got a comment here. TK says, wish Big Sexy was here to fight Bash.
Big Sexy couldn't get his way out of the recliner tonight, so he is out of office.
Is this a Big Sexy burner?
No, it's a friend of mine from high school.
No, I got you.
I've known him since I was 5 years old, so I really shouldn't say high school, but
Yeah, that's a little bit
hometown.
before high school.
Yeah. When we were wee lads.
Exactly. But like
He's also not better to me in FIFA. That's a fact.
oh, that sounds like
The fighting words.
Who's your team in FIFA against?
Well, here's the thing. Bayern Munich. I used to play back in the day. Bayern Munich had Iron Robin, Frank Ribery, Robert Lewandowski. That was my one team, and then I used to use Chelsea's my team. I like the team I grew up using, and then Barcelona back in the day. Messi, Eto'o, Thierry Henry. But the team before they Ivory Coast with Didier Drogba, I was unbeatable. Didier Drogba, Yaya Toure,
plays Chelsea all day.
Gervinho and his dribbling skills, Salman Kalou. That was my team. Alex has no idea who any of these players are.
No, I do. I know, quote, stack teams. I know who you're talking about. It's been a long time since I've really watched. When I do watch, I mean my main team is Tottenham, but I never was big into FIFA. That was my one friend's. My one friend is huge into soccer, so FIFA was his thing. I just kind of
Tottenham was my first team. I think they had Jermaine Defoe, Harry Kane, Gareth Bale. That was my first squad. But then I became a Chelsea fan with Drogba, and that was the end of that.
Makes sense. I mean, I picked Chelsea. I picked Tottenham because what's his name from the US was on the team with Gareth Bale.
Dempsey?
Yeah, Clint Dempsey. I liked Clint Dempsey a lot back then. So then I was like, oh, well, he's on a British Premier League team, so I'm going with them.
Yeah.
And now Son is the fucking man.
Oh, he was on Tottenham.
Yeah. Yep. TK said Dempsey as well. Yep. So anyway, I just want to leave the Celtics topic with the fact that as of right now, on Bovada, for the odds to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP, there are 4 separate Celtics in these odds to win MVP. There is not 4 players from any other team. And the most from any other team is 3, and it's Cleveland, and their odds are all terrible. But Jason Tatum is the favorite at minus 180. Jalen Brown is third at plus 650. Derek White is at plus 900. And then Drew Holiday is at plus 12,500. So the fact that they have actually 4 people that can realistically win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and are already in the odds before we even get to the Eastern Conference Finals should tell you enough about the Celtics' depth, which is just insane. But with that being said, going to the Knicks, like you said, they're really depending on 7 guys. And now that you remove Mitchell Robinson from the situation, which really sucks because his defense and rebounding have been a big part of their success, I think that Precious Achiuwa can really give you a solid amount of rebounding in his place. I don't think his defense is going to be the same. However, Precious does at least give you a little more offensive range than Mitchell Robinson does. And again, the oldest guy on the court for the Knicks right now is Josh Hart at 28 years old. And obviously Josh Hart has been, amazing so far in this postseason. He, in the one game against the Pacers, he dropped 24 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Shot 69% from the floor. Josh Hart has been far and away like one of the best rotation players, if not the best. It's probably just between him and Derek White in this entire postseason so far. And even though it annoyed the hell out of me that all of a sudden he's making threes out of nowhere against the Sixers, because he shot 31% this season and then shot 44% in that series. I have to tip my cap to this guy because Josh Hart has just been fucking insane.
Josh Hart is a 6'9" player stuck in a 6'4" guy's body.
Seriously, though.
Like, if he was 6'8", 6'9", he might be like the greatest player in the NBA.
He would legitimately be unstoppable.
Like, he'd average like 20 rebounds a game and he'd have like 18 points and 20 rebounds.
I mean, he led the Knicks in rebounding in the entire Sixers-Knicks series. He was the only Knick that actually averaged double-digit rebounds in that series.
Fun fact about Josh Hart: he picked Villanova over Rutgers in his recruiting.
I mean, it ended up being a good decision.
So did Dante DiVincenzo.
Also ended up being a good decision.
And Chris Jenkins. We were number 2 on all 3 of those recruitments.
That's rough. And then
we had no chance of Brunson or Bridges.
TK says great choices. I mean, they all ended up winning at least one championship. So
yeah, it was unfair. Sorry, we got Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey.
There you go. You got your hope. But another fun fact, Josh Hart is actually second in total rebounds in the entire postseason right now to only Jokic. And they both have played 7 games so far this postseason. Evan Mobley's down at 4th, and he's actually played 1 extra game over them and has 10 fewer rebounds than Josh Hart and almost 30 fewer than Jokic. So that tells you a lot of what Josh Hart is doing. TK says guy lives off of Quincy Doobie. TK's coming at your neck.
Somebody tweeted out like a 5-minute Quincy Doobie highlight video on Twitter, and I retweeted it. And people were like, if Quincy Doobie played in like 2015 instead of 2006, he would have been like a top 5 pick in the draft and an NBA All-Star. But he played like he was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. But he got drafted to Sacramento.
Right.
He got stuck behind Francisco Garcia. And then nobody gave him a chance. He went to the Chinese Basketball League, dropped 75 points in a game. The dude was a bucket, but nobody would give him playing time.
But you can't claim he's Steph Curry before Steph Curry if no one thought he even deserved a chance.
Dude, he averaged 25. He averaged 25 a game in college.
And TK says, stop it.
Pulling up from 30 feet.
I don't deny the guy could shoot. Don't get me wrong. He has talent, but obviously coaches didn't think it was NBA talent.
Well, he probably couldn't defend if I had to guess.
I mean, probably not.
Fuck yeah. Oh, sorry. Eric Musselman's okay. Fuck Eric Musselman. He was the coach that drafted or was coaching Doobie as a rookie, and he ruined his basketball career. So when USC comes to the rack this year, I'll let him know. I'll let him hear it.
There you go. That's what you got to do. Stand up for Quincy Doobie.
Exactly. I do believe.
Oh, God. But all in all, I don't think the Knicks making the NBA Finals is far-fetched.
It's not, but Brunson's going to have to continue to play like Michael Jordan for it to happen.
Oh, agreed. I mean, he's going to have to play like Michael Jordan for them to also beat the Pacers. The moment, because you saw even during the Sixers series, he was struggling in those first 2 games against the Sixers, and the Sixers probably would have ended up winning those if their supporting cast actually stepped up. The supporting cast of the Knicks have been constantly stepping up, whether it's, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Hartenstein, all these guys have been stepping up sometimes all at the same time and then all different ones at all different times. And Jalen Brunson, starting with game 3 against the Sixers, has obviously been on a historic run because the points that he's put up in that period of time has only been rivaled by Michael Jordan, like you referenced. But the moment he stops putting up like at least 35 points, the Knicks' hopes can go straight down the toilet after that. And it sucks that it is that way, but he's just that important, especially when you don't have somebody like Julius Randle. However, I do think that the Knicks are better without Julius Randle, and I think they should already try to experiment by trading him somewhere and getting someone else on that team. Personally, I think they're better without him.
I think that's a bit wild. I mean, I could understand why, because the whole offense now runs through Brunson, but Randall's an all-star level player. I mean, you can't say they're better without him. I think the team maybe fits together better without him, but that's a different story. Like, I guess what would you do? Would you rather have Randall or Siakam? Like, who would you rather have instead of Randall?
I mean, Siakam wouldn't be a bad fit. My main thing with Randall
you trade him to Atlanta for like DeAndre Hunter and Onyeka Okongwu. Like,
I mean, they would get something a little bit better than that.
Y'all hate Onyeka Okongwu. I don't understand why.
He's been rumored to start over Clint Capella for 3 years now.
You know what they say? If you don't start after 3, he's going to start year 4.
But he's already in year 4.
Year 4 Onyeka Okongwu is better than year 4 Joel Embiid.
That's not even close to true.
What? The numbers don't lie.
Go ahead, look up those numbers.
Well, considering years 1 and 2, Joel Embiid didn't play.
I know.
And then year 3, year 4. Okay, 23, 8, 23, 11, and 3. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe, but we'll see what happens. Year 4 is yet to be determined.
Okay. I think Siakam would be a great fit there. I also think, you put Evan Mobley there. You put somebody.
Evan Mobley ain't going anywhere.
Honestly, Michael Porter Jr. would even fit there. I'm not saying all these people, not saying it's realistic to trade these people straight up for Julius Randle, but my main thing with Julius Randle is he becomes a black hole. He just starts shooting it like crazy, even if he's cold as ice. And then on top of that, he starts to mope, and then his defensive abilities just go straight down the drain. The guy is very hot, cold. And the moment he's cold, it makes the entire team cold because he's just kind of there. And if he gets the ball, he throws up some crazy shit sometimes. So I just think in terms of like team cohesiveness and then in turn making the team better, it is better without him. I mean, they only experimented a little bit once they had OG Anunoby and Julius Randle, and the team did put up some big stats in that period of time. But they also didn't face if I remember correctly, they didn't face the strongest schedule in that period of time either. So there's still big ifs there. I just think if you get somebody who is more of they're still going to take their shots, they're still going to get their buckets, but they're not going to be as big of a ball hog at certain times and a little bit better of a defensive presence, it would be better than Julius Randle.
I can understand that. I mean, I agree with Julius Randle probably doesn't fit this team the best. I can agree with that. I just don't know how. It's the NBA. How often do you see even trades, right? Of you're gonna give Julius Randle, you're gonna get back, Bam Adebayo. You just don't see that.
I mean, what if they do Julius Randle and a first round pick for Jimmy Butler?
Then what are you going to do? Have Josh Hart play the 4?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he already does fine at the 4. Or you just put OG Anunoby at the 4.
You could do that. That's not a bad idea.
Or you have Precious Achiuwa at the 4.
Well, you get out of here with Precious Achiuwa.
He's not bad. He's a rotational player.
He's worse than
Onyeka
Onyeka
says
Okongwu.
sign Quincy Doobie.
He's worse than Onyeka Okongwu.
They're probably at the same level at this point. at this current point, they're probably at the same level. But anyway, moving to the Western Conference, the Nuggets, your precious Denver Nuggets, and your king Nikola Jokic are on the ropes and fighting for their lives after losing both home games in game 1 and 2. And not only losing both, but it was a bloodbath. They were destroyed. And it got to the point where the Nuggets got so upset that Jamal Murray decided to throw a towel and then throw a heating pad at the ref. Luckily for him, he was only fined $100,000. But I gotta say, that is some Bush League shit.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous. I mean, I understood, like, I would have understood if it was like one of those, he didn't mean to throw it, it kind of slipped out of his hands, but the fact that he threw 2 items, you can't be doing that. And you know, I'm a big Jamal Murray fan, but
Yep.
you can't be doing that.
I was surprised that Dennis, aka Big Sexy for those out there, kind of defended him when I was in our group chat saying that was some weak shit. And Dennis was defending him, saying, like, to be fair, the refs weren't calling like that much of a fair game and he was frustrated. I'm like, so is every fucking person. Like, if the Pacers threw a heating pad like Halliburton or somebody, I would understand because the refs and everything have been crappy in that game, but it's still weak shit. And
Maybe that's what I had to
honestly,
do in rec basketball. I should have got a heating pad and thrown it at the ref.
that's what you should have done. I actually had a rec league game almost whistled and called off because guys were yelling at each other and then yelling at the ref. And the ref was like, guys, I don't get paid enough for this. So if you want to keep doing this, I'm calling the game right now.
We had like one ref that did all he did all rec basketball. He always did whatever team, like once you got to like 7th to 8th grade, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my friend's dad. And I'm coaching my brother. We're playing in like a little like elementary school auditorium with like, I don't know, 100 parents and siblings in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 10 seconds left and I'm screaming, timeout, 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 timeout. Doesn't hear me. Nobody calls timeout. We missed the shot. We lose the game. I start yelling at the ref. I go, his name is Joe. I go, Joe, what the? I'm calling timeout. Like, what the? He goes, I didn't hear you. I go, didn't hear you? We're in Mill Lake. We're not in Madison Square Garden. How do you not hear me screaming timeout? And then I got ejected the next game for yelling at him for something else. So, as a coach. So
he
I
held
got
on.
ejected from a middle school rec league basketball game as a coach.
TK says, LOL, I know who he was. Bash Def thought he was Coach K.
I did. I was great. I was a great coach. I coached my brother. We were like 12-3. They were like, holy shit, is this John Wooden? No, it's just Mike Bash.
How come you didn't take it any further than that?
My brother stopped playing basketball.
How come you just didn't become a coach?
I didn't have the connections. Our boy Nas is a coach, though.
What level does he coach?
High school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Out in Pittsburgh?
No, in Jersey.
Oh, in Jersey. Oh, I was talking to him about living in Pittsburgh for a while, so I thought
That's because he was boys with Ashton Gibbs.
Ah, good old Ashton Gibbs. I got you. What high school in Jersey?
It's a new high school. It's called College Achieve Public School or something. I don't know. It's a new charter. It's like a Finley Prep. It's a charter school, but there's like 50 kids in the school, and they're just there to play basketball.
Oh shit. Okay.
But he has like top 100 kids every year in his school.
Damn. And you're not telling him send him the records?
Oh no, I am. One of his kids is transferring to Rutgers. See, that's what happens. He answers my phone, and Rutgers gets a small forward. You don't answer my phone, and you don't do what I tell you to do, and the kid ends up going to Kentucky.
I mean, it sounded like Rutgers really wasn't high on his list in the first place.
Maybe that's because you didn't let him know. You see this? I would have met with him. I'm a booster.
I don't know what to tell you. TK says Nas can take good photographs too. Is he a photographer?
Yeah, he likes to do a little photography on the side.
Oh, okay. But getting back to the Nuggets, do you think they can make anything out of this? Down 0-2, going back to Minnesota. Everyone obviously frustrated. Jokic had a post-game press conference quote where he said that they were like, how do you get out of this? Or how do you, stop this from happening? And he was like, I guess create a clone of myself, which obviously doesn't lend you any encouragement for them to come back from this. And to make matters worse, on Bovada right now, the Timberwolves are minus 700 to win this series, with the Nuggets being plus 485. So do you think they have any hope?
No. I think it's going to be Timberwolves in 6, which pains me because I'm the bus driver for the Nuggets dynasty that I thought was building, but they're just getting punked right now. I mean, Minnesota's playing out of its world defense. Anthony Edwards looks like the second coming of Michael Jordan, and you have the right pieces around them. You have Jaden McDaniel playing great 3-and-D, Mike Conley, consummate leader, my guy Cat, who I can't believe is 28 years old, but my guy Cat. Gobert will be back. Big Jelly. We got Jersey's team. That's what happens when a bunch of Jersey guys get together and play in Minnesota. Kyle Anderson, St. Anthony's High School, Naz Reid, Roselle Catholic, Carl Towns, St. Joe's Metuchen. You got Jersey all over Minnesota. You don't mess with
they're
Jersey.
Not Jersey's team.
We are Jersey's team. They just don't play in Brooklyn. They play in Minnesota.
The Nets never should have moved to Brooklyn.
No, they shouldn't, which is why I think I might become a Knicks fan. But realistically, I don't think I'm going to become a Knicks fan. I think I'm going to turn in my Nets fandom in summer of 2025. Okay. And whatever 2 teams draft, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper will be my new NBA teams. So if that means I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan, I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan. It means if I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan, I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan. If I have to go out to Utah, if I have to go out to Utah to watch a game, I will go to Utah.
So you're just asking for torture.
The next 10 to 15 years, I'm a Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey fan.
TK, by the way, said shout out Monroe, New Jersey. You're just asking for torture at that point, then, especially if you become a Charlotte Hornets fan.
Maybe I'll become a Pistons fan. Maybe we got Cade and Ace in Detroit. I mean, the opportunities are endless. I'm hoping Dylan ends up in San Antonio. Dylan and Wemby would be a sick one too. I'm hoping Ace ends up in I don't know. I feel like Ace and Trey or Ace and LaMelo would be. Ace is from that Atlanta area, so like Ace and Trey would be cool. Ace and LaMelo would be cool. Ace and I don't know who else can be that bad next year. Ace
Washington.
Ace and Poole would be terrible. Anyone in Poole would be terrible. But no, I don't want him to go to Washington. Get Cooper Flag. Let my guys go to good organizations. I don't know who's going to be terrible next year. Maybe the Nets maybe the Rockets get Ace. Ace at the Rockets. I mean, they already have like 4, 6, 9 wings that could jump out the gym. So I don't want the Rockets to be bad. But I don't know. Maybe the Nets. I don't know. Maybe the Nets have their own pick next year and get one of these guys. I don't know how it'll work.
Maybe the Bucks blow it up and they get Ace.
Yeah, we could say
Chicago.
Ace in Chicago would fire.
The only thing, I don't think the Pistons get a top 5 pick next year, to be honest.
I also don't
think they do well enough to
get
get out of the top 5.
I don't think you're aware of Ace Bailey's game.
No, I'm saying I don't think the Pistons would get him because they won't be in the top 5.
True.
But like, I'm not doubting that they're going to be good players. When it comes to college basketball, like, I just wait till when it gets to the end of the season, and then I look at draft time, and then I go back and look at tape. So that's not something that I claim to be an expert on for sure. But rounding out the playoffs here, like, the second round so far is honestly proving to be less entertaining than the first round. I think the first round had better series so far. The Pacers Knicks, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing the Pacers actually winning that series, especially because, like, Halliburton has really struggled to score throughout this postseason. Obviously, his distributing skills are still there. He's still racking up assists, but his shot has been shaky. There's been times he's scored like barely 10 points. And if they're going to make any sort of noise, he has to play a lot better than what he is currently. And they're also missing Matherin. I mean, he's a big part of that offense in general. So losing him is big. Siakam at least has been solid. Miles Turner has been solid. Aaron Nesmith has been very here and there. So kind of don't know what you're getting there. TJ McConnell, though, by the way.
I saw it, your boy.
TJ McConnell closing out the Bucks. Destroyed the Bucks in that closeout game. Also was killing the Knicks for a while there. TJ, one of the best backup point guards in the league. And then, yeah, the other, Mavericks Thunder, I think that will be probably the most fun series if the Nuggets don't end up turning things around, because, I mean, they're going back to Minnesota. When Minnesota fans have something to cheer for, Minnesota fans can be pretty crazy. So it's going to be rough for the Nuggets for sure. And getting Gobert back, getting that whole team back together, it's going to be pretty rough for them. So, I mean, Luka was pretty bad in the first game against the Thunder, but the Thunder have been really fun to watch too. So that'll, like, these series just aren't doing it as much as the first round series, in my opinion. But going back to the West to round out that side, the number one player in odds to be the Western Conference Finals MVP ahead of the conference finals being decided is Anthony Edwards, according to Bovada. He's at plus 110, then Gilgeous-Alexander plus 230, then Luka, and then you get to Jokic at plus 1,000. Your boy Cat, he's fourth highest odds right now. If you want to go put some money down on Western Conference Finals MVP, he's fourth highest at plus 1,600.
I might just have to.
And then even Chet Holmgren's on there. He's at plus 4,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. But you brought up, we can start with this first, but you brought up some draft things. I mean, obviously the draft lottery hasn't been held just yet, but there's going to be a lot of movement there. One of the prop bets that I thought was funny going on right now, if any of those who do use Bovada, if you see their NBA draft bets, Bronny is one of the topics. There is a prop bet for which team will select Bronny James. And then there's another one that says, where will he be drafted? Over under 30, pick number 39.5.
He won't get drafted that high.
You don't think he's even drafted early second round?
No, because what bad team in the early second round is going to want to bring in Bronny just to bring in LeBron? I mean, I could see if it was like 45.5, because once you get to like 45, it's like, who cares? But like 36, right. 37, like those are still guys sometimes that are useful.
So let me, I just want to look. So the picks leading up to, what was that, 39. So you got Detroit is in there, obviously, Washington, Portland, Charlotte, San Antonio, Toronto, Memphis.
Yeah, LeBron's not going to Toronto.
I mean, Memphis, you have Ja Morant, all those guys coming back.
LeBron's not going to Memphis. LeBron's only going to go to a nice city. Like LeBron's not going to go to like the inner city of Memphis. Like he's going to go
Do
to
you know
like,
who has pick number 39?
who?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. We're back, baby. We're getting LeBron and Bronny. Let's go. Let's go.
Look how that changes all of a sudden.
Throw the crown. Throw the crown.
All of a sudden, it changes.
Do we? Hold on. 2024?
Yeah.
Oh. Brooklyn. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Go get Bron. Go get Bronny. Let's go.
Look how that all of a sudden changes.
Yeah. I can't wait for 40-year-old LeBron James to come in to play for the Nets.
I mean, 40-year-old LeBron James was better than a lot of people this year. I can give you Tobias Harris.
That'd be funny, actually, if that happened.
What if Tobias Harris or LeBron came there?
If LeBron became a Knick, that.
Oh yeah, that would be funny. That Knicks Nets rivalry would be crazy. Then if LeBron was a Net, that would be crazy.
Imagine being a Nets fan and telling Nets fans in a 5-year span you're going to have Kevin Durant, James Harden, and LeBron James all play for your team.
And Kyrie Irving.
You fuck Kyrie.
But still, I mean, you still have Kyrie too.
Oh, it won't happen, but that's funny.
That would be crazy. But so right now, for the draft lottery odds, the top two to get the number one pick, they have 14% chance, are Detroit and Washington to get the number one pick. Then you have Charlotte at 13.3%, then Portland at 13.2%, and then San Antonio at 10.5%. And then you get down to Toronto, Memphis, Utah, Brooklyn, which goes to Houston. That's at 4.5%. Then Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, Sacramento, and then Golden State. Imagine if Golden State got the number one pick again when they're, well, not again, but like a top 3 pick again.
When there's nobody worth drafting.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Anthony Edwards would have been worth drafting when they were number 2.
True.
But they drafted Wiseman at 2.
Who now can barely even get minutes for the Pistons.
Yeah.
But
so do you see that Shaq told Jokic it should have been SGA?
Yes. Because it should have been. Just saying. If you had to guess, other than the Lakers, because that's the obvious choice, who do you think on Bovado right now has the highest odds to select Bronny James? I'll give you a hint. It's an Eastern Conference team.
Cleveland.
No. They are third, though. I'll give you one more guess.
Got one more hint?
They're in the Northeast.
Well, it's got to be one of Philly, Boston, Brooklyn, New York. And being that you're asking me the question, it's probably Philly.
Nope, it is New York.
Really?
It is the Knicks.
Well, they have so many draft picks they could waste one.
Just saying, we talked about moving on from Randall, trade Randall back to the Lakers and get LeBron.
Well, didn't LeBron decline his option?
Yes. But if you needed to trade him, trade Randall and get LeBron. Wouldn't be terrible. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Just right out of the gate. It's weird to me because like with the NBA draft like the draft lottery itself, obviously Detroit and Washington have the same odds at 14%, and Charlotte has a 13.3% chance of winning the lottery. But then on like betting odds, all 3 of those teams have the same odds to win the number one pick. which I feel like is weird if they don't have the same odds to actually win the pick in the NBA draft lottery terms.
Because it's rigged.
It sounded kind of rigged, to be honest.
Yeah, it's rigged.
I mean,
Vegas knows.
The odds for the draft lottery even have San Antonio at plus 600 on Bovado right now. And the Trailblazers are at plus 700. But in the actual draft lottery odds, Portland almost has a 3% higher chance of winning the lottery than the Spurs do. Yet they have worse betting odds. Doesn't make sense to me.
Now, why would they do that?
China.
China.
But anyway, moving away from the draft. Well, who do you think goes number one, by the way?
Alex Sarr.
You think he is actually going to go number one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everyone clip it, book it. We'll see if Mike's right at the end of the day. We'll go on from there.
Alexander Sarr.
So the other thing was some exit interviews. So obviously the exit interviews I've seen the most of are the Sixers ones. Joel Embiid didn't make any excuses this time around. He actually sounded somewhat encouraged for the next season. Tyrese Maxey, talked about working on some things, and his was pretty good throughout his exit interview. But the one I was most interested by was none other than Daryl Morey's. He definitely talked about going star hunting. I don't necessarily agree that the Sixers need a bona fide star. I don't think it needs to be a Paul George type. How many teams in the past, let's just say decade, had 3 bona fide stars and it worked out over the course of the time they were on the team?
The whole stars and scrubs doesn't work in the NBA anymore. It worked for LeBron, and that was it.
Exactly.
You need
depth.
depth.
But even then, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh had some of the best role players. And then even
they got all
when
these
you
guys
get to,
they got all these old guys to come on cheap contracts that still had some juice left.
Right. Like Shane Battier was a tremendous role player.
Birdman.
Haslam was even good role player at that point. Chalmers was a solid role player.
Norris Cole,
Eddie House. And then when you go to Cleveland, J.R. Smith,
Richard
Tristan
Jefferson,
Thompson,
Dante Jones, Channing Frye. They had decent players.
All of those guys are decent role players. And anymore, you look at like the Lakers. I mean, well, they don't even have a third star, to be honest, but their role players suck too. And then you look at the Suns. I mean, I guess you count them as 3 stars, but like
they're never
Nurkic was all right. He was probably the best like role player out of the rest of the guys that they had. But after that, really wasn't much to write home about. And then you get to, I mean, the Bucks role players have been aging like milk. And then you get to, I don't even know who else there is. Oh, the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers, they probably have had the best batch of role players in this whole 3-star era over the last 6 years or so. And they couldn't even get out of the first round because their stars also were getting hurt. So at that point, I just don't think the whole 3-star and then fill the rest of your team with nothing is going to work, especially with this team currently as constructed. It's obvious that with Joel Embiid, you need a lot of very good role players that can all play their role very well and will be able to play it in the playoffs instead of shying away from big moments.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily agree with the whole star hunter type of thing. Daryl Morey did say he's looking for a wing that can contribute in the scoring department, be very good in that department, but also one that actually knows how to step up in the playoffs. And if that's the case, I don't know if you put Paul George in that category. He's one of the guys they're rumored to get. Another rumor is Jimmy Butler, but like, yes, Jimmy Butler steps up in the playoffs, but does Jimmy Butler really want to come back to the Sixers after the whole first go around? And on top of that, he's another guy that's hurt all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna end up with Jimmy Butler. I think the Heat are sick and tired of his he doesn't give a shit about the regular season, and then tries to show up in the playoffs, right. And he talks a lot of shit. So I think they're a little tired of that. And then yeah, I mean Tobias Harris was just terrible. So
awful.
It'll be an interesting offseason. I don't know who the big free agents are right now. Other than LeBron again, but
Paul George is one.
Paul George, okay.
There's a few like big name restricted free agents, but obviously, those teams can sign them to offer sheets. Yeah, LeBron, Paul George, Klay Thompson is one of them. Tobias Harris, if you want to count him, James Harden, Siakam.
Other than Siakam, everyone was 34 years old.
Yeah, pretty much. Tobias is the youngest of that crop. Gordon Hayward is a free agent. Let's see. DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield. OG Anunoby has a player option. D'Angelo Russell has a player option. Gary Trent Jr. and Markelle Fultz are both free agents. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has a player option, but now we're getting into obviously like role player areas. Tyus Jones would be one I would not mind to have on the Sixers. He's an unrestricted free agent, but has bird rights with Washington. And yeah, then it starts getting into like Doug McDermott and Gary Harris and Covington and Batum and Rashawn Holmes and all those guys. So your top, in terms of previous like contract, your top 5 are LeBron, Paul George, Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, and James Harden. And then throw in Siakam for top 6.
So a bunch of guys that were cooked other than maybe Paul George and Siakam.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say LeBron's cooked.
Well, he's like getting cooked.
Yeah.
He's like 2 more minutes in the air fryer and he'll be cooked.
Like you can finally start to see over the hill a little bit.
Yeah. It's like the edges of the cookie are turning dark, but the middle is still brown.
Okay. I can get with that. I can go with that metaphor. So yeah, there really isn't, in that regard, there really isn't many stars in the first place. So honestly, I think if the Sixers are going to really get a third star, it's going to most likely be a trade, because they do have 3 first-round picks that they got from the trade with James Harden. They have one this year that I think they pick around, I want to say like 18-ish, I think is their pick from this year. I'm looking it up. It is 16. They have the 16th pick in this draft. Daryl Morey did say if they keep the pick, he's excited for the players that are projected around that area. However, that makes it sound like they most likely won't keep that pick. So the other one of the players that has been kicked around is Markkanen. However, people have been saying Markkanen is going to cost like 4 to 5 first-round picks plus a star-level talent, which honestly I think is insane.
Utah just trying to fleece guys again and become OKC.
Exactly. They fleece one person for Rudy Gobert.
And it might work out for Minnesota.
True. It did end up helping them a good bit. But what was the final total? Like 9 first-round picks or something?
No, it was
like
5.
Felt like 9. But either way, that many for Lauri Markkanen is pretty insane. I mean, I like him a lot. I think he's a great player. And he's still young. I think he's like 27. But that's just a ridiculous amount for him. And they're not trading Maxey or Embiid, so I don't know who, if they're really looking for star level talent, I don't know who they'd be looking for. But yeah, so I just think if it is a star, it's going to be a trade. However, I just want to see the team with a legitimate fucking supporting cast. The one this year was solid if Embiid never got hurt, but obviously that's never going to happen in a season. There's never going to be a season where he doesn't get hurt. So you have to build a team that is able to withstand an Embiid injury and also withstand him going to the bench. One player that I actually saw that a team that like the Sixers could look for is Malik Monk. I wouldn't mind that, especially as a six man. Wouldn't mind that.
That's a solid role player.
Exactly. And that's something they've missed for a long time. The Sixers have not had a player off the bench that can score and like really score since like Lou Williams. So it's been a long ass time.
Like, where's like you know who'd be a perfect role player for any team in the NBA today, but he's too old now?
Who?
Andre Bloch.
I thought you were gonna say Quincy Doobie.
No. I miss Andre Bloch. He retired too early.
I liked watching him play, to be honest. Didn't he also go overseas and then he became like
he
a star
went to play in like
overseas?
the Philippines or something.
Yeah. But I mean, Bruce Brown has, I think, a team option. So if Toronto doesn't pick up that team option, I would love to see Bruce Brown on the team. Perfectly fine with that situation there. But again, there's a lot more they have to do. Technically, no one is really on the books next year except Embiid and Maxey. And Maxey needs an extension. And honestly, losing in the first round was Paul Reed's worst nightmare because Utah, when they gave him the offer sheet, built in a stipulation that if they don't get past the first round, his contract becomes fully non-guaranteed. So now that the Sixers lost in the first round, they could technically just move on from Paul Reed. So
it's a wild thing.
Yeah. It was like Utah made that offer sheet to screw over the Sixers. And now it is kind of in the Sixers' favor if they decide on it. Because it also makes him a good trade chip. If they trade him and the team decides to not pick up the rest of his money by, I think it's like September or something. Like it's not even that close. Then they can just drop that money from their books too. So he becomes a trade chip. But the other exit interview that I don't know if you saw the Suns, Matt Ishbia and James Jones. I never really see an owner do an exit interview, so that was interesting in and of itself that Matt Ishbia decided to do it. But he essentially was like, don't fall in love with draft picks because they're probably not going to stay very long. So I don't even know how many draft picks they even have left after making all the deals that they made, but apparently they're not even caring about the draft. They're just going to go for whoever they can go for. And they think that continuity is going to be the best part of the team moving forward. And as long as Bradley Beal's on the team, I don't see them winning anything.
Well, hopefully the Kevin Durant asks out and they blow it up because the Nets have their unprotected first-round pick next year.
I mean, I kind of doubt it, but one can hope. You can always hope. But yeah, if unless there's anything you want to get off your chest, I think that's it here for us tonight.
No, I'm good. I'm about to fall asleep. I'm so tired. My dog is passed out right under me. So
I feel that.
And the Knicks are up 11.
Wow. Well, the Pacers season has been fun, but I honestly don't see them winning this series at all.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Shout out to Doug Stu for being the only Pacer fan I know.
Yeah, don't know many of them, that's for sure. Well, tomorrow I have to go give a big presentation to like hundreds of people at work. So,
Well, that's fun.
yep, that'll be interesting. Hopefully, I can sleep because that shit is nerve-wracking.
Best of luck.
Appreciate it. But that is it here for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening to and watching another episode of the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. We are everywhere you get your podcasts, audio format, Spotify, Apple, Google, everything. We are everywhere you get it. So just check us out there. Rate, subscribe, review helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like below if you liked it. Hit the subscribe and then hit the bell because it gives you notifications when we go live. We usually go live once a week. Thank you, everybody, and we will catch you guys next week. Peace.